Okay, Alan, let's have a look at the sketchbook. Okay, good mind map to start with. Right, now, got to be a little bit careful what I say here because I know you're, how should we say, ready to engage in discussion very readily about any commentary on the book. Anyway, I think first off, going back to where we were a year ago, I think is a very good plan. I would go back and I would give this a little bit of a rework. I think moving away from the outline and getting that tone in the middle, which is what you know how to do now much better, and possibly even getting some darker bits underneath here and some darker bits around the stalk. We're going for something realistic on this one, which you can do now very, very well. Here, made out of patterns, so drawing using patterns. I would say you've got a nice little range of very different kind of patterns going on here. That's excellent. And you started to arrange the pattern so that it's actually starting to describe the form of the apple. I'm thinking just overall, maybe just a little bit darker here and there, just to give it that bit more sort of 3D look would be very useful. Once again, kind of quite a foggy looking bunch of fruit there, but I know that's pretty much probably the way you wanted it, and I haven't got the image to kind of rework. However, I would have another go at a very different kind of coloured pastel drawing, perhaps something where the colours are more kind of vibrant. It will show that you are using the full range of what the material can do, which is all about getting marks in the confident band, where you are exploring and developing the use, potentials and limitations of processes and resources. So, important to do that, and pastels can be very vibrant. So, please take that on board as a very positive suggestion. I like the way you've delineated these very boldly, and I think it's very in keeping with the Daniel Gordon. And I think you've done a good job of that. And again, a thorough job of the writing. I've always been impressed with the writing. You've used the terminology well, and the concepts you really do get to grips with well. Very much like this. This is a sort of experimentation that really kind of hits the mark, where you're not worried about going into something that's really quite abstract, which is why it's even more important to get the thing that's realistic looking more realistic. Okay, good range of photos. You've got them all there. You've chosen some to make larger. Just the job. And you've written about it too. The what you're being marked on. Yep, absolutely vital. It's kind of spelling it out there for you, really. Developing ideas, you've got no shortage of ideas, and seeing them all the way through is something we all build on. And there's potential to do that with the pastel. There's potential to do that, and you will be doing that shortly with the abstract versus the real. So exciting stuff. M. Lee, I'd get a little bit more about her. There's a good opportunity here to have some images of hers on this area here. That would fill this page in nicely. Good job with this too. I think anything where you build up a sense of the thing being made out of layers is useful, and these do go in front of the purple, and the purple does go in front of the orange. Maybe there's things you could see now that were not the case however many months ago it was. In which case, please don't worry about going back and doing little bits of fine tuning, because it's raising what's already there. It'll take it higher than it already is. Again, writing very solid bits of writing and thinking about what you're doing. And I really like the colours, how you've chosen the colours in this one. Where you've got the colours from, the kind of sheen you got out of them, are totally in keeping with the concept that Keith Arnott's been exploring. So well done on that. You've smoothed out certain areas. I mean, you're capable of making the choices between something being real and not. And just make it really stark, really clear when you're doing one and when you're doing the other, and when you're fine tuning it. Now you've done quite a subtle choice of colour here. Do the same, I think, with any of the formal elements you get the opportunity to. I like the choice of and the simplicity of this. This I feel like needs some more work. You've you've kind of carefully mapped out where everything is. We're missing the splurge of yellow. It's quite faint. Not saying you have to do it hard. I'm just saying that it gets a little bit lost in the text. Maybe that's not a bad thing. But he's quite a bold guy, Polka. And maybe, unless you're interpreting it in a way, which of course you could well be, interpreting a way that's kind of much softer, then you might want to kind of contrast the softness with some really kind of hard-edged um, splurge of paint or something. Maybe just a suggestion. What if? Key question there. Likewise here, very detailed, very nice. I think you've laid it up absolutely perfectly. You've got the room to actually be a little bit bolder with the tones, I'd say. If you look compared to the other one, it's all laid out. You've done all the hard bit. It might be that if this one's kind of slightly pale in tone too, maybe by way of contrast, that could be the paler one. And this one could be darker. Maybe I don't mean press hard and obliterate everything. I just mean take the tone down a bit as an option. Nice big space to stick something in there. A picture of what you've made. I think as simple as that. Nice bit of thinking going on here around purpose of drawing. I would, what you need there on this bit is kind of like a photocopy of this, or a photograph of the actual shot of the canteen. This needs spraying, I'd say, and also I think finishing off. I mean, there's bits where the edges could be slightly cleaner as they go behind the screen, or you could get some darker, even some lighter bits. Maybe just tidying this bit up will actually help this stand out more. I'm not sure. It needs doing something doing to it, and maybe a little title in there to say it's perspective and to join it up to this bit here. Probably here is a good place for some photographs of the canteen. Okay, likewise here, at some point, it'd be good to get some colour. Maybe some coloured pencil in somewhere, just so when we come across each study, it's got a very different flavour to it. And here's a good opportunity to get into some nice, rich colour pencil, maybe. And talk, if you want softness of tone, talk about softness of tone. But we don't want everything to kind of go into a very, very pale pastel-y colour. At this stage, if you're really choosing it that way, then of course it's your choice that way. But it's all about ticking boxes. Is about saying, well, okay, here's a dark thing here and a light thing there and a coloured one there, and you've filled the full range of things. I'll actually read straight from the high-end marks of the exam criteria, and it says that you recognise the full potential of materials, techniques and processes selected. So that means that you want to be sure that you are aware of the limitations of a process and also the full range of processes at this stage. So you choose which one that you maybe switch to colour. You choose which one which you darken overall as a tone. I mean, the image is quite dark here. But I think you know what I'm talking about. Patterns developing here. We put this caret in to kind of try and link this up. These are not quite happening. These, in all honesty, they need something else on top. They need a different lino. They need some painting on top. Perhaps even a dark design over the top using the ink transfer process, which we did, where we had dry ink and drew on the back of the images to bring the image through, or possibly another liner or piece of liner. Just for early on, they're a little bit kind of bitty. I like this. I like this. It could be layers. It feels like a little bit of sea. I mean, is it layers? Is it related to food? Is it the patterns derived from food? We need to know that. And these experiments get even more interesting, but we kind of need to know, we can see where they're derived from. I mean, in the end, the prints you come out in the end, great. It's just these early on ones are a bit sort of not quite there. They're not quite sort of demonstrating, experimenting yet. So I think it needs a bit of a revisit. You're not the only person by a long stretch. And then you've got this one-off iPad drawing. I would like to see a few more so that it's not just a kind of a one flash in the pan type thing. Something perhaps where you could produce a number of pieces based on the images you've taken, perhaps. But it needs to be more than one, so you can show that you're developing an idea and it's not just a totally isolated thing all on its own. So then we get to developing the prints. Very interesting. I'm thinking, there's potential in these that's untapped. Yeah. This is a print also, as I'm sure you know from here. You've got layers and separate colours and separate layers, and you've got strong diagonals going across. So getting that kind of drama going is going to be something to maybe work on a bit. You've got there's dark lines here. Maybe that's something to think about. Cubomania. So I want to see some. I want to see you do some. You can need a separate page here. Quite how we've got to Cubomania from print, not entirely sure. A little bit random. Things being kind of joined and disrupted. I think the patterns that you draw with tend to disrupt surfaces, and when you bring in layers, it tends to disrupt the surfaces. So it's another way of disrupting the surface of an image, and ties in quite well with these photographs you've taken too. In fact, some of these could be used to create one of these versions of Cubomania. Very good to have them all in. It's absolutely right. Ones to include, ones to reject. I think at the end here you need some kind of Cubomania woven stuff. Great to finish that off. This is looking great too. Keep it nice and scratchy if you're going to make it look like the Giacometti. I would definitely fill in some of this. This page and these, absolutely brilliant. Love it. Really hits the mark. I mean, that's perfect. Drawing styles meets your photographs, spot on. I would just do a few studies of these. Now, you don't have to do an exact copy of these. It'd be much better if you took your own image, like you've done here, and just maybe did a response to the Brandenburg, or did a response to the cross-hatching. So gap to fill there, but this is the path to getting a high grade for sure. Further investigation, good to have a title. We know what you're on about. Experiments with abstract art. Right, so watch out. Give this a bit of fixative. Get some pictures of some of the abstract art that I showed you. I've got the handouts in the box by Desk 106. Mention the artists and talk about which one you prefer. Think about how they could be very, even more different from one another. Think about possibly making an outcome that is abstract, an A4 piece, something like that. Okay, drawing from primary sources. So you're looking actually at the object in front of you. How is that different from working from a photograph? Color studies, good. What should go in here? Probably something where you're demonstrating the choice of a color palette that you like. That would be a really good thing to have in there. Yeah, I like the way you've done this very much. Your own object in the style of, that's absolutely the way to go. Dissection project, very good to have all this down. Not everyone's got all this conversation we had down, thinking about the roles in the dissection project. Room to have some other little examples. Gunther von Hagens can be, because he's got all the different sorts of things he does, you can really start to think about the different ways in which he does what he does. I like this because it looks like you're actually taking the body apart. You could actually make a piece that's all patchy and really folds apart, just like a body. Wide draw, yep. Like that image a lot. Like that, but it goes bitty. Can't quite see how it ends here. We need stills of your animation. I think that's probably the main thing. And then, basically, just to summarise, you've got some good stuff. I think you've got the potential to just shore up one or two areas. Realistic drawing here, bit of extra pastel work there, demonstrating the range of the materials. And then you've also got the opportunity to actually build on some of the things you've done. So in a way, you could spend a number of weeks just really shoring all that lot up, because it would set you up as a kind of a real foundation of marks for where you go with your personal project.